Leslie, unfortunately, we are all caught up in this raging second wave of COVID-19, where hospitals are inundated by the COVID-19 patients, and social media is inundated by COVID-19 do's and don'ts. I think we're all familiar with the word super spreader now, and according to me, there are three kinds of super spreaders. So the first kind are the super spreaders of the disease, and the second kind are super spreaders of misinformation and fear and panic and toxicity. And then we have the third kind, fortunately, because these are the ones that help counter the ill impact of the second kind of super spreaders. So these are the ones who are super spreaders of kindness, of selflessness, of they are organizing voluntary aid and relief packets and doing all kinds of charity, which is so much the need of the hour right now. So while the COVID warriors, such as the doctors and the nurses and the sanitation workers, who are putting their lives at stake in the line of their duty, these super spreaders of kindness, they are going out of their way. There is no personal agenda, there is no selfish motive, and yet they are putting their lives, in peril and going and helping out those the COVID-19 patients and their families. So kudos to such people who are placing others before self, because that is exactly the need of the hour right now. And these people are truly our superheroes for us. And today I'm going to be speaking with one such superstar. This is Apurva Sahai Arzu. Apurva, in fact, suffered a very severe bout of COVID-19 last year. This was, and she was in a Mumbai hospital for almost 2 weeks. So once she got back, she she immersed herself fully in trying to help these COVID-19 patients, and organizing food for them, organizing aid for them, helping them in whichever way she could. So Apurva is not only a social worker and a social activist, she is also a marketer. She is a thespian, and she's a big time cat lover. So she has rescued hundreds of cats across the city, and she'll pick up ill and abandoned cats, and she'll bring them home, and then she'll nurse them back to health. So you can just imagine the magnanimity that's instilled in her character, and she's all of, I think, 24, 25. So there's a lot of inspiration that there is to draw from her. And today I'm going to be speaking with her about her first-hand experience with this dreaded virus, and some tips and home remedies that she might have, since she has not only dealt with that virus, she has also been meeting and dealing with a lot of COVID-19 patients and their families. And finally, I will be speaking with her about her initiative, and so that we can all draw inspiration from that and see how we can incorporate the same in our own agendas. So I'm going to be inviting Apurva here now, and please bear with me. I think it will take a minute by the time my daughter does my connections for me.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You can
Thank
too, right?
thank you. Yes, absolutely. I am just like honored for the beautiful introduction that you gave for me. I mean, thank you so much for having me
I
here.
think you totally deserve it, Apurva, because you are such, at your age, you're such an inspiration for so many people. It's commendable what you're doing.
Thank,
And
thank you so
let
much.
me ask you, you had suffered a very bad bout of COVID-19. I remember you were all alone in Bombay that time. I think you
Yeah.
barely landed that day when you got it or something like that. So please tell us about that.
So absolutely. So the experience that I had when I was infected, I had actually landed in Mumbai to meet my sister. And within like a day or two, I was burning up. And there was a day, like I think the second day only, where I really thought that I'm going to have a heart attack. Thankfully, I mean, BMC Mumbai has been was like a such a support to me because they kept on calling me and giving me aid and telling me that what to do, what not to do. But I decided that I am not going to last if I'm like going to be at home is because my sister also stays alone and she was also isolated. And
But you had
thankfully she
fever.
was negative. Sorry?
You had fever. What were your symptoms exactly like? How did you get over
My
you had fever?
symptoms were I was burning up. Like my fever was through the roof. I almost had like 103 fever. I could not smell anything. I had like put Vicks on my face that, because I had so much cold, I had to put Vicks on my face. I couldn't smell anything. The taste was like I was eating rotten food. It was extremely bad. And the idea that I'm going to have a heart attack, like the body gets to know that your heart is going to stop. That's when I had to contact BMC and they sent an ambulance and picked me up.
Oh, Acha.
Thankfully, yes, they picked me up from there, and for I think so 2 weeks I was on drips, like two drips, one on one here, and I had severe diarrhea. I even got I was on my periods, and it was absolutely the worst nightmare one can have.
Yeah.
And of course, like it was the time when a lot of people had started thinking that, COVID is still a conspiracy and it really doesn't exist. It's all like a political game or something.
Which
But
month was
that's
this? When did you have it
this
exactly?
is November. This is
November.
November 2020 when the entire first wave was, brushed off and everybody thought that everything is normal now. And I was one of them, of course. But as when it happened to me, I had to write my will one night. I was really thinking it was really bad. It was extremely bad. I didn't know if because they say your body is disposed of and I'm so far away from my family. It was absolutely bad. But of course, the doctors and the nurses helped me out. A lot of people over there actually helped me out. There were a lot of people who were, despite knowing me, coming up to me and giving me food because I could not get up. My eyes were so heavy. I was like one of the youngest people over there, and it's not like I have any pre-existing conditions. I was hit with a rock on my head when this happened to me. So yeah.
But tell me, was your recovery 100% post this COVID?
So this is one of the most scariest things that I would want everybody to know. After I got infected, till date, we're on May, right? It's been I think 6 months.
Right.
I still have memory losses and brain fog. Sometimes writing spellings, I get really confused, and I'm not the only person who has felt these, lingering effects. A lot of people are. I've faced backlash on Twitter, on through my personal circle, saying that COVID is like after you've recovered, it's really impossible that this has been going on. But I've tried to seek out help. I went to therapy as well. I've started taking care of myself even more, and. Yes, I mean the lingering effects are really bad. I have like a constant pain between my ribs, and I've gone for my checkups. There's some levels of something related to the heart that's higher. So, and this is all after being infected. After being infected, I had no such problems before.
All that. Okay.
So yes, you have to be really careful even if you've recovered from COVID.
And do you think there is some kind of lifestyle changes that one has to make post-COVID?
I think so. The main problem that we youngsters, in fact, or a lot of people do not drink water.
Okay.
I mean, 2 liters of water is, of course, 2-3 liters is said to be, every day you have to consume that. But when I was hospitalized, the doctor, specifically told me that there's absolutely no cure. You can have your vitamins, you can have your immunity boosters, but the only thing that's going to flush the toxins out is water. So till date, I make sure that I'm having 4 liters of water every day. And of course, that really helps in other, it's the most vital element of your body. So water, sleeping on time, exercising. I'm telling you, when we were infected in the hospital, there was an attendant coming to us every day in the morning, just making us walk, because your mind and your body needs to be in absolute balance. You cannot just be lying down and resting, even if you are home isolating. Get up, walk around, move your hands, do some little exercise. Do not exert yourself, but After recovery, make a schedule. That is extremely important to be active.
Okay. And tell me, if somebody has, only generic symptoms like a cold or maybe a slight fever or something, do you think one should go and meet a doctor at that time? Because they already, there's just so much happening outside. For all you know, it's not COVID, and you go there and get it in the bargain. So, what do you think would be a good time to see a doctor or get a test done?
Okay, so if you are, so this is a very tricky question to answer, because if you do not get tested, that's also really bad. And if you do get tested and then get it, that's also an extremely bad situation. But symptoms like difficulty breathing, extreme fever, and loss of smell. Loss of smell is 100% that you have been infected with COVID. But if you have generic symptoms, like, just a slight fever, then it is avoidable. But if you really have high fever, difficulty breathing, no smell, no taste, and you're living alone or with family members, you definitely need to get tested. And there are a lot of reasons for why we need to get tested. I think we can catch that up later.
So also I wanted to ask you, I knew in the beginning what asymptomatic is, but somewhere along the line, can you just refresh my memory? What is it exactly?
Okay, so asymptomatic is basically when you already have that infection, you've been infected, but you're not showing any symptoms. And this is the most trickiest place to be in, because these are, now being asymptomatic is basically you have the infection and you are carriers. You can spread the virus, right? So why people are pushing for getting the test done? I know it's absolutely scary that you have to go out and get tested or call someone over, but of course you have to take precautions, double mask, gloves, and do not touch anything. Just get tested. So the reason why a person is pushing you to get tested is that first and foremost, you will get to know, there's a confirmation that you are a carrier.
Right.
And because of that, you won't be able to spread it to other people, because you will have to take the measures. I hope so. You think that you have to take the measures possible, right? And secondly, there's so many ifs and buts related to COVID, right? Until and unless scientists don't have a pool of people. I understand you say, they have such a large pool of people to test from and do their research, but no, you never know how different your body is. If you do not get tested, you do not get added to that pool, and years will go by. The research will be able to give us answers, and I hope we all are there to know them. There's so many people who are dying because we do not know. We do not know what to do and what not to do. So testing is extremely important.
So, but the asymptomatic person himself or herself doesn't feel anything as such. He can just carry it and he can give it to other people. Is
Yes.
that?
Absolutely. That's my home isolation right now when somebody is saying that, why isn't the nation going on a lockdown? So it comes on to us as citizens that we should not be stepping out right now. The situation is so bad. I can't even begin to explain how bad the situation is in India, especially that if by chance, even if you're going out to buy grocery and we by chance are asymptomatic, there are highest chances that we will be spreading it. And you never know, if you are asymptomatic, the other person might not be. So for other people, we have to do this, because otherwise we're going to be stuck in these waves only, and we'll be just blame gaming, blaming the politicians and other people. We have to take responsibility right now.
Yeah, I know, because the first wave nobody took very seriously, and now you can see a distinct difference in the way people are adhering to the lockdown.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I had seen one of your videos on the proning technique. So I wanted to ask you, what is this exactly, and how does it help?
Okay, so this is something that I recommend everybody to do. And especially, so right now, there's so much fear. There is so much fear and panic. Of course, there will be, the healthcare system is burdened with, the excess amount of cases, active cases, and there's not the right information in the market, right? People do not know when do they have to rush to a hospital. If they've just got COVID, they're just rushing and going to the hospital and just wanting a bed. No, that's not the way. The first wave, we actually overcome the first wave is mostly with home isolation as well, right? Right now, we have to eliminate the fear of dying off only if we have got infected. Home isolation and proning technique together can really increase your oxygen levels. This is a medically approved technique. If you have your oxygen level, that is your SpO2 level, that is less than 94. If you do the proning technique, 94. So people are even at 90, they're just rushing in and they're just, they're in tears. Your body really needs positivity right now and the proning technique. If you practice the proning technique for 30 minutes in different positions, it's the easiest technique ever. You just need 5 pillows. You can put one here between your upper body and your thighs, and then near your shins. And just keep changing position. Lie down on your stomach, then sit up, then on a right, lie down on your right position, then on your left position, and then back up.
Okay.
Your body's oxygen level increases on its own. So your body is a beautiful machine. You know how this is how you're going to save yourself from panic. But of course, if you're having extremely low levels of oxygen, for example, if it touches 89, 87, do source for oxygen cylinders. There are a lot of verified leads that come in, and do reach out to us if there is, there's something like this happening. But do not rush, do not give into fear, but be vigilant. That is extremely important. And of course, for more information, you can go on to India Fights COVID official, which is the Instagram page, which has produced this video. You have all information on proning techniques over there.
Okay. And how many hours does it have to be done? And this has to be done only by those who are suffering from it. Not that, somebody who's just isolating, the way we are quarantining.
Isolating. Please.
Okay. So I wanted to also ask you that if you think an oximeter is worth buying, one does need to have it at home, everybody?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. An oximeter, your thermometer, and if you can have a BP machine.
Okay.
These are extremely, yes. Even if you do not have a BP machine, you can do away with that. But the oximeter tells you your heart rate, tells you your SpO2 levels. You have to regularly monitor these. And this is the only time where you have to look inwards and take care of yourself and your family. And if you need a social media break, this is one of the biggest tools to recover as well. An oximeter, a thermometer, and a break from social media.
Yeah. And what if one of your family members is showing symptoms and all? Do you think one needs to be isolated without even trying to show a doctor or anything like that? Even if there's a cold or a fever, it could be COVID, it could not be. But
yes, absolutely. As soon as a person sees, notices a symptom, a person should be wearing a mask and preferably staying in their room and isolating themselves, because you never know how different. So when I was positive, my sister was negative, my parents were negative. Nobody actually got COVID from me, and I had a value of 17, which was high, like a high viral load. And thankfully, touch wood, like nobody got the virus from me, and nobody knows actually, because we cannot trace. I cannot answer that actually correctly. So, but yes, isolation is extremely important. I know there are a lot of people who do not get infected even if they have lived with a positive patient, but do not take this lightly. You never know. Right now you're asymptomatic or you're negative, but your body has is processing this virus in itself.
Right.
Because there's so many ifs and buts. Just take precaution.
No two people seem to be getting it the same kind. Everybody has one's own story to tell about this. And also I wanted to know if since we are at home and thankfully we are still not in the grip of the virus, so there is something you want to do something to help the people in distress and all. And on the other hand, you're told that you should not step out of your house. So how do you even extend help beyond chatting with people on social media and doing a couple of things to boost up their morale and all? If there are hundreds of friends that I have on Facebook who want to do more than that, so we wanted to know from you that how have you been able to organize proper help where it's really required? So what all have you done exactly, and how have you gone about it? That we'd like to know, please.
Thanks to one of my seniors of college, Miss Arushi. So they have started an initiative called Team Extra Portions in Gurgaon. So they were identifying COVID leads in Gurgaon and sending food to them. So of course, being a recovery patient, I live alone right now. So I volunteered for this, and we have started an initiative in Delhi NCR. So Team Extra Portions is basically providing food to COVID positive families or individuals who cannot cook for themselves. So honest to God, you do not even have, when you're positive, you do not even have the energy to even open your eyes or get up. So cooking for yourself is just not a task. It's torture. It's torture to the body. So the only thing one person can do from sitting at home is, when you're cooking for yourself, just cook extra food, you know. Put it in disposables and put it outside your house. You can Swiggy, the patient can either Swiggy Ginny it or Dunzo it, or you can do it for the patient. And these delivery people, like thanks to Swiggy Ginny, thanks to Dunzo, these people are life saviors. So they pick up the food from your doorstep and put it near the doorstep of the COVID positive family. So there's no contact involved because you're using disposables as well, and you're giving nutritious, comforting food to these patients.
Right.
On the other hand, in Bombay, my sister Lankrita Sahai is actively arranging for oxygen cylinders and canisters for people who have SpO2 levels below 94, and proning technique is also not working for them. So we are arranging oxygen cylinders and canisters for these people, and we have a few volunteers that are verifying leads. So one of the biggest problems right now is, when we're asking for help on social media, we are getting responses like we're just getting, forwards right now. So sitting at home, you can actually make phone calls. You can volunteer to actually verify information. So we have volunteers in hundreds who are calling people up, calling these hospitals up and verifying, is there a bed available? How many beds are available? So they are connecting with COVID patients who have the leads that have come in.
Okay.
So when it comes to ICU beds, oxygen cylinders, oxygen canisters, and comfort food, we are doing it all. And right now, the need of the hour is, we have so many patients, but little volunteers, and this is across India. So my only request to all of you is that if you can volunteer in terms of food, cooking food for these patients, and either giving a donation for Give India's initiative for COVID-19 relief, or actually I do not recommend you going out and volunteering, because that is extremely dangerous. Or otherwise, you can actually just pick up your phone and start making calls and verifying leads.
Okay. No. So suppose I want to start from now, to do something.
Okay.
What is the first thing that I should do? I mean, you spoke about this website or this Insta page. Where is that where one needs to contact first to start?
Okay, to start with, you have your social media, right? You see a lot of, there's so many websites, you go online, just type, it's Google search, just type verified leads for beds. So now these verified leads are also not verified, okay? They might be verified like
Verified
2 hours
means
ago.
what exactly?
Verified leads is basically that they've picked up the phone, contacted this person and said, yes, this is available. There's so many people out there who just, I remember I called up a hospital and I was like, we're looking for beds, and how many beds are available? He was like, where have you seen this information? So there's a website that has put up only hospitals, the names of the hospitals. The hospital was closed since past 2 years.
Oh God.
So verification means you pick up the phone, call these people up and verify, do they have beds? Do they even exist? Is one of the biggest questions.
Okay.
So, and
But
then there's so
there
many
a
leads that
website?
come in.
Is there a
Yes.
website or something where one can go and find only verified leads or something? So that one just has to
Yes,
go
there are
there.
many websites. There are many websites. I mean, even if you go on COVID beds, COVID-19 beds, There are several websites, so many people, there are AI bots also online. You just have to Google search and you will get your answers. But the essential step over here is verification. You have to take out the time to call these people up. And if you do not have the time, please contact us. We have volunteers who are ready to do that.
Okay. And so what you're suggesting is that one should like cook extra food or whatever, and once you're in touch with these people, then they Swiggy Genie comes and picks up the food and it gets
Absolutely.
delivered at the right place.
So you can basically come to me. You can tell me that I want to volunteer. Okay. I will take your address. I will take how many people you can actually take on. You do not need to take on more than you can actually do, because nobody wants to like stress people out over here also. Because of course, like we do not want to make anything inconvenient as well. If you can take one person on or two-person on, it is more than enough. You tell me how many people you can, and then we get leads that this patient is looking for food, this family is looking for food, and we then contact you with the patient. The patient and you can discuss if you need breakfast, lunch and dinner, or lunch and dinner. Then you coordinate with the patient, and if the person has the funds to book a Swiggy Genie, then the patient will take this on. If they do not have the funds, and if the volunteer also doesn't have the funds, then you tell me again, we will get you funded.
Okay. So for you, what is the address exactly that where we should contact you? I mean,
Okay, so for me,
what is the online thing?
to contact me, it's again on my Instagram @Apurva Sahai Arzu, and on my mobile number, which is my official mobile number, is +91 81303 20235.
Okay. So this number I'm going to note down. Can you just repeat that number once?
Sure. +91 81 303
303
202
202.
35. And this is the Instagram handle people can contact me on.
And Apurva, spelling is a little different, so would you like to
Yes,
spell that?
my spelling is APURVAH.
DAH. Yeah.
Yes, SAHAY.
SAHAY.
Double A
Double A
R
R
Z double O.
Z double O. Apurva Sahai Arzu. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the Insta. Right. Okay, I think we should. It's a, at least I'm all pepped up now to start this activity as
Yes.
well. And
We'll
thank
be
you very
really
much
grateful for this.
for your time. And I'm
Thank
sure
you so much for having
all those
me.
who are watching us have been inspired by what all you're doing. And kudos to you, and best of luck for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.